Hello everyone, my name is Sachin Dorge. In this session, I will be demonstrating the site aware allocation feature added to SFWHA 6.0. So let's start with the introduction of different terminologies used in this feature. First of all, let's see what is site. It is logical representation of host and different storage arrays connected to it. This feature typically is applicable in campus clustering environments wherein you have multiple such sites participating as a cluster failure nodes, and the storage from all the storage arrays from all the sites is shared with the all participating nodes in the cluster. As you may know, in campus cluster, at least one copy of application data, or let's say one plex of a volume, is always available to the cluster, which makes it possible to online an application on one of the available site node if current cluster owning site goes down. A site is down meaning the host as well as the storage array is down. To have one plex always available if the active site goes down, administrator needs to configure the volume such that the data is available on the storage of at least two sites by mirroring the volume across enclosures. But even if the storage is configured this way, administrator cannot control certain automatic operations like automatic volume grow, hot relocation, which may use any available disk space and can break the rule of having one complete copy of data at least on two sites. This also may happen because of human errors while allocating the space for the volume such that the space allocated is from the same site, and if that particular site goes down, complete data is unavailable. The site aware allocation feature will take care of such scenarios and operations. For a site confined volume, all the space allocation for all the plexes is done using the disks of only one site. For example, mirror add, volume grow, subdisk move, all these operations will be done using the disks of same site. In other words, site confined volume cannot have its plexes on multiple sites, but it can have multiple plexes on same site. The site separated volumes can have its plexes scattered across multiple sites, but an individual plex will reside only on one site. The operations like mirror add operation will allow to add plex to different sites. The auto grow operation on the site separated volume will grow all plexes using the disks of respective plexes site only. The plex cannot grow across site. Okay, let's move on to the demo. In demo, I will cover the newly added functionalities and couple of already existing functionalities which are affected because of site aware allocation. The new functionalities includes host tagging, disk tagging, and a volume site type change. Volume site type can be a site confined, a site separated, or a siteless volume. A siteless volume is a normal volume for which there will be no site restrictions honored while allocating the space for that particular volume. Now let's see the host tagging. Administrators can tag host so that it can be identified later that to which site this particular host belongs to, and accordingly do the space allocation for the volumes. To tag the host, right click on localhost node, select site and select add host to site. Provide site name, let's say site 1. Now the host is part of site 1. You can check to which site this host belongs to using vxassist show tag command. This will show that this host is tagged with site 1. Okay. To make use of site aware allocation, all the storage needs to be tagged with the respective site name, and which can be later used accordingly while allocating the space to the volume. Let's consider these three enclosures are from three arrays from three different sites. I have created a DG named demo DG using the disks from these three enclosures. Now tag the disks with the respective site names. Hard disk 4 to hard disk 8 is from this first enclosure. Hard disk 9 to hard disk 12 are from this second enclosure, and hard disk 30 to hard disk 34 is from this Hitachi enclosure. To tag the disk, right click on the disk, select add disk to site. You can add multiple disks to same site by selecting those many disks. This available sites option shows what are already available sites to the host. You can say, or you can mention the already existing site name, or you can select new site and enter the new site name. We already have site 1, so let's tag these disks with site 1. As you can see here, hard disk 4 to hard disk 8 are now part of site 1. Let's tag hard disk 9 to hard disk 12 with site name site 2. Let's enter here and select. And tag hard disk 30 to hard disk 34 using site 3. Okay, as you can see here, we have already tagged all the disks with the respective site names. Now let's move on to the creation of volumes. Let's first create a site confined volume. Launch the wizard. Here you can see there are options provided to create either siteless, site confined or site separated volume, and all the sites are listed in this list box. So let's select site confined, keep the disk selection automatic. As here the site 3 is selected, in the available disks only site 3 disks are shown or are selectable. So let's keep the disk selection automatic, select site 1. Again the disk shown in the available disks are changed to site 1 disks. Okay. Let's say the volume name is site confined, provide the size, create a concatenated volume. Here the site confined volume and its property can be verified that it is site confined volume from its properties. Here you can see the site type is site confined. Now let's add a mirror to a site confined volume. As this is site confined volume and the volume belongs to site 1, only the site 1 disks are shown to add a plex. Keep the disk selection automatic, So as I said earlier, that site confined volume cannot have its plexes on multiple sites. Now let's create a site separated volume. Here select site separated, select multiple sites on which you want to create its plexes. As we have selected 3 sites, specify 3 mirrors. As this is site separated volume, even if we selected to use the automatic deselection, the add mirror operation or the create volume operation automatically created 3 plexes on 3 different sites. As you can see, hard disk 6 is from site 1, hard disk 9 is from site 2, and hard disk 30 is from site 3. Now again, to check the mirror add operation, I'll remove one of the plex from site 3. Now let's try and add a mirror to a site separated volume. As this is site separated volume, you can add a plex or a mirror plex on any site. Say add a mirror using the disks of site 3. Now let's see if administrators want to convert or want to have a site separated volume instead of site confined volume, and he already has created a site confined volume. There is an option to convert a site confined volume to a site separated volume. So here, as this dialog is popped up from the site confined volume, user has 2 options, either to convert it to the siteless volume or a site separated volume. If it could have a site separated volume, there would be 2 options, a siteless volume or a site confined volume. Or if it could have a siteless volume, there would be 2 options to convert it to a site confined volume or a site separated volume. So I'll select here site confined to a site separated, click OK. Now let's see what all options would be available while adding a mirror to this volume. Here you can see, as I converted it to the site separated volumes, all the sites are now available to add it, to add a mirror plex to this volume. Say site 2, it will add a mirror plex to site confined volume, which is converted to a site separated volume on site 2 disks. Now let's move on to the volume grow operation. For that, first we will create a volume, a site confined volume, using the disk of site 1. Now let's grow the volume. As this is site confined volume and it resides on a site 1 disks, only site 1 disks are available to grow the volume. Let's add by 300 MB and keep the disk selection automatic. The volume will grow on the already used disks. Let's make it 1 GB and keep the disk selection automatic. Now you can see the new subdisks are added to hard disk 5, which is from site 1 only. Now let's move on to the volume grow for site separated volume. Let's create a site separated volume using the disk of site 2 and site 3. Select site separated, select site 2 and 3, keep the disk selection automatic. Now expand the volume. Now you can see as this is site separated volume and it has its plexes on site 2 and site 3 disks. All the disks listed in available disks are from site 2 and site 3. You can check here. Keep the selection automatic. Increase the volume size by 1 GB. You can see here the volume is grown on hard disk 10, and as this hard disk 30 has size 2 GB, it has grown on the same disk. So let's expand this volume again with size 2 GB. Keep the disk selection automatic. Now you can see all the plexes are expanded using the disks of respective sites only. So this plex site separated -01 has the space allocated from site 1 disks only, hard disk 9 to hard disk 12, and the second plex has disks from site 3 only. Okay, now let's move on to the subdisk move operation for site confined as well as site separated volume. So this is site confined volume and it lies on the site 1 disks. Now let's try to move this subdisk of site confined volume. As this volume is site confined and is residing on the site 1 disks, the available disks will show only the site 1 disks, which are probable target disks. Select any target disk or keep the disk selection automatic. The subdisk will be moved to the selected target disk. Now let's see the subdisk move operation for the site separated volume. Let's move this subdisk disk 12-01, which is residing on the hard disk 32, which is from site 3. You can see here only site 3 disks are available as a target disks. As I said earlier, site separated volume can have its plexes scattered across multiple sites, but the operations like grow the volume or subdisk move will happen on individual plexes and using the disks of that plexes site only. So here, as the subdisk is lying on the disk of site 3, only site 3 disks are available as possible target disks. Keep the disk selection automatic. Now you can see the subdisk is moved to the selected target disk. Though I have not covered all the changed functionality like repair volume, replace disk or hot relocation, but whatever I have described here in this demo shall have given you some understanding about the site aware allocation. I'll conclude here. Thank you very much.